afternoon, good morning. Whenever you're viewing this broadcast, I'm Yashika Foster, your dating one-on-one coach. Today we are talking about what else? Relationships, okay? And the question that I pose to you is, are you honest about your reality and do you allow your past to tell you a false truth? I'm going to say that again. Are you honest about your reality and do you allow your past to tell you a false truth? So let me explain to you exactly what I mean by that. If you are out dating, or let's not even say dating. Let's use another situation or another scenario. Okay. So for example, say that you went to a restaurant and for whatever reason the restaurant didn't cook your steak the way you like it. You asked for a medium well done steak and they bought you out a rare steak. Okay. Instead of you taking it as, you know what, this is just this particular person didn't pay attention to my order, you went and ran with the idea of, this is why I don't go out to restaurants. This is why I cook my own meals. This is why I hate doing this. I hate doing that. So, because of some other trauma or some other situations you've been through, instead of you taking that one particular restaurant and saying that that chef or whoever it was that prepared your food made a mistake, you throw it into this big old thing and start catastrophizing about, this is the reason why this, because you already went into it thinking to yourself that I'm eating out in a place. I prefer to cook at home where I know what I'm putting into my food. I know that my food is prepared the way that I like it. I know it's going to be a clean kitchen or whatever. Like, I'm familiar with the chef because I am the chef or my family is the chef, right? You already have that in your mind going into it that there's going to be something wrong. So, because of it, no matter what happened that particular day at the restaurant, you're going to automatically assume the worst because you went into it thinking the worst, right? And so it goes back to the original question, are you honest about your reality and do you allow your past to tell you the truth? And so, what I mean about being honest about your reality, if you know, and again, I'm going to stick with the food analogy, I'm going to stick with the restaurant analogy. If you know that something has happened to you, okay, let's say that you went to a restaurant and Lord knows, I hope this never happens to anybody out there. But let's say you went to a restaurant and you found an insect or bug, because let's be clear, it does happen. Okay, it does happen. You found a bug in your food. Okay, from that day forward, you're going to always have a certain mindset when it comes to eating outside of your home or eating outside of somewhere where you know who's doing the cooking, or what the establishment looks like as far as behind the scenes, the kitchen area, and making sure that they're doing things in a sanitary way, right? You're going to automatically have these things going forward, this mindset going forward. So no matter what happens, you're going to automatically just take all of that baggage that you had before and bring it into that moment in time at that restaurant, simply because maybe the waitress who took your order didn't read that you wanted your steak medium well done. Maybe they just saw the word medium or well done and they didn't see the other word that was with it. And so when they gave the order to the chef gave you what he or she thought you wanted as opposed to what you asked for. So when we talk about our realities, right? When we talk about what's going on in our lives and when we're in situations, we have to really get clear about the stories that we tell ourselves, right? We have to really get clear about things that has happened to us before to make sure that we have cleared those things up the best way we can. We have just done whatever we needed to do to make sure that it's not having some type of bad impact on the decisions or the circumstances or situations that we find ourselves in currently. Give you another example about myself. When I was a kid, I was at a job. Full disclosure here. Full disclosure. When I was a senior in high school, because I'm working to make sure that my mom doesn't have to pay for all my senior stuff. my senior dues, my senior trips, all the things that you want to do when you're a senior high school. So I had two jobs. Of course, at this time, I'm a senior, so I'm still going to school full time. I'm taking about, I think at this point, I had about 5 hours or 6 hours a day that I had to be in school. And then I was working two jobs. And the reason why I needed to work two jobs is because there was a time back, and I'm aging myself, and I don't know if this is still true, that a student could only work and go to school for a combined total amount of hours. So if you exceeded those hours, then they would tell you to cut back on work because you couldn't come back on school, so you had to cut back on work. And so to make sure that I was able to get what I needed, right? Because my job that was part-time wasn't always able to accommodate my work schedule or my work school schedule, right? Because if I needed to only work from, let's just say, 5 to 9 only Mondays and Thursdays, or Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, they weren't always able to do that. So there were times where I would work on the weekends or something like that at another job. And I think it was like once through the week as well. I would work like maybe on a Monday and then maybe a Saturday this other job. And then the other hours would be spent at my other part-time job, right? So anyway, the part-time job was at a gym, our local gym, where I was in charge of the daycare center, right? Inside of the thing. And so I'll never forget, I was tired. I had had a hard week. It was getting close to the end of graduation. So I was literally just exhausted. I was playing, doing things in school, extra activities, working the two jobs. I was going to school. Then I had my home life, whatever. So I was exhausted. And so I remember there was about maybe 10 kids in the room while their parents were working out. And I was on the floor playing with some of the kids. And I don't know when it happened, but at some point I had one kid that was kind of like he wasn't feeling good. So I remember just sitting there holding him, just kind of rocking him on the floor, watching the other kids playing. And at some point I dozed off. To this day, it's been 30 years. Literally, it's been 30 years. I cannot remember. I don't know how long I was asleep. I don't know if it was a second, if it was a minute, if it was 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't remember anything. All I knew is that I shook myself. I woke up like because I felt something like a presence, right? And the district manager or the general manager of the gym was standing over me. Can you imagine that? He, as well as some of the other staff of the gym, was standing over me while I had nodded off. And so I'm assuming that it wasn't just a second. It had to be for a minute or two, long enough for him to say, okay, she's really asleep, not just closed her eyes for a quick second. She's really asleep. And it was one of those things where I felt so guilty about it. I felt so like because anything could happen. Like seriously, like I didn't plan on it that way. I didn't know it was going to happen that way. Like I didn't do anything. Like I felt like if I could do it over, I would have done it over. I would have never sat down long enough to even allow myself to go to sleep, but I did, right? And so all I could think about is, oh my God, what if, what if, what if? But needless to say, I got fired. Okay. So now, to this day, whenever it is time for me to go to sleep, I always jump because I think that I'm supposed to be somewhere. I think that I'm supposed to do something, especially when it's during the hours of daytime or it's not like my typical, sleep. Sometimes you want to take a nap midday, right? I can't take a nap. Like I seriously cannot take a nap unless I am sick or ill or something like that, right? I cannot take a nap because subconsciously, as soon as I go to nod off, my mind tells me or my subconscious tells me that I'm supposed to be somewhere or I'm supposed to be doing something else. And so I know that that is a problem that I have. Now, do I work to try to alleviate that problem? Absolutely. But I just know that that is what caused me to be the way that I am when it comes to me taking naps. Okay. And so I say this to you as simply as this: make sure that you have an understanding of what causes you to have ideas about certain situations. Understand that you can't take one thing and lump it all together and say this is this and that is that and this is people and people this and people disappointment, people that, because that's not the case. You have to take situations on a case by case basis. Not everybody will treat you the same. Not every situation will be the same. You can't say, well, I don't do this or I don't mess with people or I don't go to restaurants or this and another because I'm going to be disappointed always. It's a case by case basis. Because guess what? You may go to another restaurant and have the most amazing meal of your life, right? You may have the most amazing time of your life, right? So, but you got to understand where that trauma comes from. You got to understand and be honest about what is clouding your now because of something that happened back then. I'm not saying that you have to change it, but just be aware of it, because moving forward, sometimes when we have a preconceived judgment about something, it doesn't allow us to see the bigger picture, because we're seeing it from a very, very small viewhole, or a very, very small peephole. So you want to be clear about what it is that you're looking at, see it from the best perspective that you can, and just be open about what's coming your way or what you're seeing, so that you won't have any preconceived notions about certain things, right? Or preconceived notions about certain things. Be honest with yourself. So if this is something you have to sit with, then sit with it. But you ask yourself the question: am I being honest about my reality? And do I allow my past to tell me a false truth? Be honest about yourself. Because if you're honest about yourself moving forward, or honest about yourself about whatever it is that happened, then you can move forward, right? You can move forward. Like for me, I already know that if I really want to take a nap, I have to clear my mind and remember that I don't have to be anywhere. There's nothing going on. There's nobody going to be standing over me. None of that. And I can peacefully take a nap. But if I don't tell myself those things, or constantly remind myself of that, then I'm gonna always think that I'm supposed to be, or I'm not supposed to be taking a nap because I need to be watching these little people run around me. Okay? So I hope that this helps someone, and I hope that when you think about this, it can relieve you of some of the past that you're allowing to tell you a false truth today, so that we can go on and be happy, and find those relationships, so we can get to the love, so we can get to the love making. And that's always my motto. Okay? I am Yashika Foster, your dating coach 101, and I'll see you in the next video.